My name is Brona, and the name of my coaching business is actually Power in You Coaching. So it does what it says on the tin. I'm all about helping people connect to their inner power. And I'm a transformational life and business coach, which means that I help people transform their blocks into powerful stepping stones forward. As well as that, I help people transform and take their energy away from creating what they don't want so they can actually create what they want in their lives, in their businesses, and in their finances as well. So I'm going to be presenting a little something that I've put together for you. Have your pen and paper beside you, because I will get you to maybe just jot down a few things as we go along, because I do want to have this not be a talk. How I work is very experiential. So I do want you to maybe think about this in terms of what's going on in your own life. So onwards we go. Now. So the first thing that I honestly hear this over and over and over again from clients that I work with, and it's like, wow, I never thought this was possible for me. Multiple clients share this after we work together. So what I want to say to you here is that you can create your version of a life and business that right now feel impossible. Okay. And I actually want you to grab your pen and paper and write down, okay, it's 2021. What would I love to create right now? What would I love to create this year, whether it's in your life, your business, your relationships? That actually feels impossible. So I want you to write that down. I'm just going to give you like 20 seconds just to kind of do a little bit of a brainstorm and just jot down one or two things that feel impossible, that feel out of reach. And then we're gonna work through the process that I take all my clients through, and we'll see how and where you're at with it at the end. And we will leave time for Q&A at the end as well. There is the chat box, and I will check the chat box as well. So yeah, if you have any questions, you can throw them in there as well. Now, what makes me so sure that I can actually say to you right now, you can create the impossible in your life and business? Well, first off, this is a tried and tested and proven approach. I have been coaching since, I think I started coaching school in 2008. So I've been coaching since about 2009. It was a 2-year program, but I began coaching and taking clients while I was on the program. Not only that, I've worked with like hundreds. It's getting near the 1,000 as well, but privately, one-to-one clients globally as well, from all different countries across the world, all different cultures. And I've seen it firsthand in my own life, how powerful this approach is, because back in my 20s, in my late 20s, where, I came to like 27, 28, and I was in what I would call shadow success. I had the money, I had a job, I had everything, I had the car, but I was absolutely miserable on the inside, absolutely miserable. And I was in a place where I was like, yeah, I have the checked box syndrome. I'm checking all these boxes, that society says are important. But I just felt I was in my own shadow. So this is the approach that helped me come back to life and completely turn my life around, completely do a full 360 in my life. And it's the approach that I use now with clients. And I'm going to actually show you some of these clients. I've had like amazing, beautiful, what I call soul clients, and they have very graciously allowed me to share their story. So I'll be doing that, but first I'm just going to present the actual approach. So the Power in You Transformational Approach is all about connecting with all of your bodies. Okay. Everything whole in nature actually exists in 4. So you don't just have a physical body. You actually have a spiritual, a mental, emotional, and a physical. You have 4 bodies. So think of everything whole in nature, 4 directions, the 4 seasons. You actually have 4 valves in your heart. There's so many instances in nature, and not only in nature, in spiritual traditions, in ancient traditions, that come back to the number 4 being a number of wholeness, of ground, foundations, solidity, and of the transformation of ideas into form. Okay, manifestation, the transformation of ideas into form. And if you look here at the 4 bodies, they exist on an energetic spectrum. On one side of the spectrum there, we have the spiritual body, pure energy. right? But as you move down, as you move down and across this spectrum here, you come to the physical body, which is matter, okay? And matter is basically just very condensed energy. So as we move along, like we connect with our spiritual body, and I'll be explaining more about how you can do that in relation to your dreams, your desires, and what's currently impossible in your life. I'm going to show you how you can tap into each of these bodies so that you get the most out of everything. Because what I have found is people come to me, when clients come to me, they're actually blocked. Okay. Typically, our society only really operates on, the mental and the physical level. The mental has really come to the fore. It's all like power of the mind, all of this stuff. But if you think about it, your mental and your physical, they only actually make up 50% of your inner resources. 50% of your resources. And what I'm saying to you is we look to create 100% of the results, but we're only really tapping into 50% of our internal resources. So that does not make sense. And that causes burnout, overwhelm. It causes dis-ease in our body. Lack of harmony and lack of ease in our body does end up manifesting as disease. And then as well as that, our mental body, our mind does suffer. Like mental health is, at the forefront. It is hugely important. But it does take its toll as well. So this approach is all about up-leveling all four bodies. So if you want to create something physically, it's actually looking at, well, how can I tap in spiritually, mentally, and emotionally so that when it goes to bringing it to life in my physical world, I've done the inner work. I'm in alignment. I'm a match. And then, you allow yourself to receive it rather than going out and feeling you have to make it work and force and push and, manipulation, because that just doesn't work. And if we look at this a slightly different way, this is actually a whole brained approach because, you have your right brain and your left brain. And then, you often hear of people talking about feminine energy and masculine energy. I'm not going to go too deep into it, like for this talk, but if you even think of man and woman, you need both to birth physical life. And what we're saying here is you actually need both feminine energy and masculine energy. And it doesn't matter whether you're a man or a woman or what gender you are or identify with, we all have a feminine and a masculine energy within us. And it's about tapping into both of these within you so you can birth whatever it is you're looking to birth. So you can create new whatever it is you want to create in your life. So the feminine tends to be made up of the spiritual and the emotional bodies. The masculine is the mental and the physical. And just even to give you an idea of how powerful this is, I'm just going to share a quote from Dr. Liz Bolte-Taylor. Now, when Christina sends out in this talk and the video and everything, what I am going to do is I'm going to give her a link to a TED talk that you can refer back to because it really is amazing. This lady, Dr. Liz Bolte-Taylor, she is a cognitive scientist. And what actually happened was she's someone who studies the brain, and she herself ended up having a stroke. And when she had the stroke brought down her left brain. So it shut down her rational mind, her thinking, her rational thinking mind. And all she was left with was the right hemisphere. And she had a completely different experience of life that completely changed her life. And that TED Talk has been viewed like millions of times. It's definitely worth watching. But the conclusion she came to as a brain scientist, when she did end up recovering from her stroke, she was like, we have a right side and a left side of our brain. And right here, right now, I can step into the consciousness of my right hemisphere. Here, I am the life force power of the universe. I am the life force power of the 50 billion beautiful molecular genesis that make up any form. I am one with all that is. So when she tapped into that side, she was more connected with her spiritual and her mental bodies. Now, when I say spiritual, okay, this is not anything to do with religion. When I say spiritual, the actual root word of the word spirit means breath. So when I talk about the spirit, I'm talking about the part of you that literally breathes life into you. Anybody can have a physical body. Anybody can have a physical existence, but are you actually living your life? And by tapping into your spiritual body, you then tap into everything that like brings you to life. You feel alive, the joy, the enthusiasm, the get up and go. That's what I'm talking about here. Um, or getting back to Liz Bolte's quote here, or I can choose to step into the consciousness of the left, where I am a single individual, a solid separate from the flow, separate from you. I am Dr. Jill Bolte Taylor, intellectual neuroatomist. I've had troubles with this word in the past. Neuroatomist. Um, so here she talks about, like, on one side of the spectrum, we're like so connected, and we are at one with life force itself. On the other side of the spectrum, we're a separate physical body. And which is good. That helps us get around from day to day. And that's the ego, and there's an awful lot of people who think ego is bad. It's not. My ego lets me sit here and say, hey, I'm Brona, this is what I do. But it's when we let our ego take over, that's when we begin to run into problems. And that's what this approach is actually going to help you. Typically, when clients come to me, they've shut down their spiritual side, they've shut down their feeling side. And for many different reasons, sometimes we can have a painful experience that happens, or a trauma that happens when we're young, or at another stage in life. So we actually disconnect from our emotional body. We're like, no, don't want to feel that, don't want to go there. So we shut down our emotional body. And then when we do that, we're actually more shutting down our connection to life itself. So this process is all about tapping into all four bodies, which means that it is a process that not only helps you create what you want, but it is very healing, and I personally believe that, your path to success, whether it's in business, your life, your personal relationships, it is naturally a path of growth and of healing. So just to give you an example, because theory's great, but we all want to know, does this stuff actually work? Will it actually work for me? So you might be familiar, for those that are maybe Dublin based, you might be familiar with NOMS. NOMS is based in Phibsborough. NOMS is a shop. NOMS is owned by Naomi Sheridan, and it's a shop there that is in Phibsborough. So it's a bricks and mortar business. And it's more than just a shop, because it's a mission. Naomi really is a change maker. And NOMS stands for natural, organic, mindful, and sustainable. I actually should have put in a big S there, but that's the ethos behind Naomi's shop. So Naomi came to me and she was struggling with her work-life balance. Like, NOMS had been open 18 months and it was a huge success. It was an amazing success. But as they say, new level, new devil. So for every new level that we want to move to, we're going to be looking to up level on all four bodies. And if we don't, we can start falling into old patterns. So she was struggling with her work-life balance. The relationship with her daughter was hugely affected. She was getting caught up in her business and she was stuck in the day-to-day. So she wasn't able to kind of be the CEO. She was stuck in the everyday running of the business. And she just said that she constantly felt like she was putting out fires, living in a constant state of guilt. So lose-lose scenario. I'm guilty for working on my business and in my business. I'm guilty for not having enough time at home with my daughter. And now even when I'm with my daughter, I'm guilty because I feel like I should be working on my business. So lack of space and time for herself, feeling like she was on a constant treadmill, lack of focus, couldn't focus on any one thing, no time for self-care. So her me time went out the window. And fear, doubt, procrastination, imposter syndrome all reared their heads. As well as that, her business then, after having phenomenal growth in the first 18 months, it just reached a plateau. Naomi feared a major burnout, and she just said her mind was just running the whole time, that she had a busy mind. But what I love about Naomi is she knew that in order for me to take my business to the next level, I need to take myself to the next level. And that's what she did. So much so, after working together, after 3 months of working together, she did a full 360. It was amazing to watch. And in her own words, she was like, pretty life-changing things have happened. I'm welling up in tears thinking about it. Really massive shifts. It's been huge, and not just one thing, so many things across the board. And that's what I love about this approach. You can come to me for one thing, but this one thing will just change absolutely everything else. When you're at the center of your life, and when you take the time to bring yourself to be that version of success that you want to be, it affects all areas. It affects all areas, not just the area you were looking to focus on. I've had clients come to me and, they've gone and they've done this work, and it's not just say their business that takes off. Their personal lives do too. They end up meeting people, or their relationships get better. I've had people that have then gone on and competed and represented their country, in different sports. It lifts everything. I have gone from feeling like I was constantly caught on the back foot with zero work-life balance, to having more space in my own life and being more effective with my time. I'm confident in myself and my capabilities, my ability to move forward, and in my decisions. We all know that's huge. We all know being able to make those decisions is huge for really creating change. Choice is definitely a power point in our businesses. And as a result, she then was expanding her business. She signed a lease on a new premise. So when she began giving herself that time and her space, her business was like, hell, I want that space and that time as well. So she's able to expand her physical space with the business as well. There was changes in her home, because again, this is a holistic approach, and I'll be showing you how when we go a little bit deeper into this. But she was decluttering. Like, when you go to get really clear, and when you go to really tap into that spiritual body, it's a higher energy. Your purpose is a higher energy. When you're being true to yourself, when you're being that highest version of yourself, that's a high energy, okay? Which is what you want, because it's a very magnetic energy. And it means that you draw things to you rather than you having to work and push hard. And basically leaving yourself, like what I would say is getting very uncentered in your life. Then you start going all over the place. And so yes, when you start to really tap into that high energy, what happens is you begin to declutter mentally, emotionally, and some people get very turned off. Like, say, for example, if you're looking to invite in more abundance, more peace, if you want to take your business in a new direction, everything not alignment in that new direction has to come up. If you want the new, you have to make space for it. And that means the old is going to come up. But people can get very turned off at this point, because all this old stuff keeps coming up. They feel like, oh, problems are coming that I thought I dealt with. Stuff is coming up to be healed. And people think, I must be doing something wrong. Maybe I'm not supposed to have this. Maybe I'm not supposed to have what I want. Maybe I'm not supposed to be successful. They misinterpret this process. Whereas, no, you're being shown what you need to release so that you can go and create what you want, so that you can open up to the success that you want. And that's exactly what Naomi did. There was a lot of decluttering, mentally, emotionally, and physically as well in her home space, because anywhere we're unclear on the inside, we'll create chaos on the outside. So I want you to go home this evening and look at where and what areas of your home are you physically cluttered. I mean, if you are looking to really grow your business, what's your desk like? How is everything on your laptop? Declutter, declutter, declutter. Make space for the new. So a big win for Naomi, though, was the relationship with her daughter is in such a better place. And she's just now comfortable and happy and present when spending time with her daughter. So we're talking the guilt-free life here. And it was a win-win. Previously, it was a lose-lose. This was a win-win. I can be present when I'm working in my business, and then I can be present when I'm with my daughter. So able to have those clear boundaries as well. And Naomi then had a record-breaking month. So together we created a target that Naomi felt was both impossible and unrealistic, my favorite kind of a target. She not only hit this target, she slightly bet it as well. And I just want to re-emphasize, no new strategy. She wasn't selling anything new, no extra work, no special promotions, nothing, just alignment. And I'm going to say that again, just alignment. Okay. Money, like everything else, does exist in four bodies as well, and is a very emotive thing. And all in all, it was a 46% in growth from the month previous as well. Now, how did we do that? Okay, so using this approach, Naomi created more time and space to connect with herself. And that's the power of the spiritual body. It is all about connecting with the part of you that is powerful, that is a creator, that is more in the realm of possibility rather than limitation. That part of you that actually can access solutions that you mightn't even think of with your rational mind. Okay, so she was able to stand back and create a strong vision. Vision is powerful. Create a strong vision for herself for the next 1 to 5 years. As I said, she cleared space and inner clutter so she could access more of those faculties like inner wisdom and guidance and intuition, because intuition is what will help you move into the unknown. So whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're a business owner, whether you're an employee or just a leader, it's, being able to follow your intuition, it will bring you places that your rational mind cannot. And it will bring you into the unknown. And the unknown is where all the best things are, beyond your comfort zone. Naomi got really clear. And again, clarity is powerful. You claim what you want with your clarity. She got really clear on her personal and professional priorities. She got re-inspired and enthused by connecting with her own core purpose and mission behind NOMS. That it's not just a shop. It's here to educate people, helping them to live healthier and sustainable ways. Purpose is a high energy attractor, as is your zone of genius. We all have a zone of genius, as is working within your strengths. And you can align yourself and your business so that you get to use more of these. And that's what we want. We want to be a magnet so that we are connecting with the right people, the right clients, the right audience, and the right consumers as well. And essentially, Naomi just made space to connect with her powerful, wise woman in her as well. She released limiting beliefs. This is huge. This is huge, and part of working with the mental body is about up-leveling it. And when you up-level, you're letting go of the stuff that is not a match for where you want to go. Okay. All those old beliefs that are inherited, they're ingrained, whether it's from family, culture, society. So we found that there was beliefs like needing to work hard, business can't be easy, I have to fight for success. And like we all have these, like these are universal. And I am going to be showing some of the common universal kind of shadow mindset that I've come across from working with the clients that I work with, and even in my own life as well. Because what will happen is things could be really easy, but if we have a mindset of, I need to work hard for money, I need to work hard for success, things can be really easy, but we'll actually make them hard. We will find a way to make things really difficult for ourselves. We'll make extra work for no reason at all. So it's about learning how can I make this easier for myself? So permission to make it easier. We cleared blocks of self-sabotage and imposter syndrome. These are more in the emotional body. And the emotional body is where change really begins to happen on a physical level. If you think of the emotional body on the spectrum that I showed you, you have the mental body, emotional body, and then you have the physical body. So the emotional body is what bridges the gap between mind and body. So we really started working with the emotional body, clearing the blocks that were coming up. And we began healing and rewiring core shadow feelings. So when I work with clients, not only do I help them get clear about what their core desired feelings are, I also help them get clear about what their core shadow feelings are. And these are just as important, because people tend to not want to deal with the uncomfortable. People tend to want to focus on the positive. And just so you know, I'm completely anti-positive. I'm like, don't be positive, be true. It's all about being true to yourself, being true to your feelings, because all feelings are guides, even those uncomfortable ones. They're actually guiding you. They can strengthen you. Say if fear is coming up, fear can let you know, oh, there's a part of me that's looking to grow. Maybe there's something I need to let go of. Maybe there's something that needs to strengthen. So they're all guides: guilt, inadequacy, doubt, resentment, fear. In particular with Naomi, we were actually up-leveling the relationship we have with time. Now, if you think of time, resources, money, these are all, these show up very much in our physical environment. Okay. And a lot of people think, oh, I have an issue with time. I need to be more productive. Let me get this productivity app and let me get this scheduler and that. When really you can do all you want. You can take all the action in your physical world, but unless you deal with the inner stuff that's actually getting in the way of your relationship with time, you're not going anywhere. And I want you to think of time like this. Okay. Think of time as being 24 hours. Think of it being like 24 blocks, 24 physical blocks standing in front of you. Okay, so you're there, these blocks are there. Now, I want you to imagine that you now are standing in front of time, but some of your energy is caught up in the past. There's stuff that you haven't dealt with. So when there's stuff that we don't want to deal with, we push it into the shadow. And when we push stuff into the shadow, we're pushing it out of the present. Okay. So you're standing in front of time. There's less of you standing in front of time. Time is all there. You're not. And that's what this approach looks at. It looks like, how can I be fully present with time? How can I let go of the stuff? How can I stop financing stuff from the past? If you think of issues from the past that you're financing, like if your energy is tied up in issues from the past, you have less power to use it to create what you want. Okay. So it's all about, when we looked at her relationship with time, she was like, I feel like I'm living in the past. I feel like I'm always on the back foot. I feel like I'm always behind. Now, when we went deeper into this, we ended up clearing out unresolved, unhealed issues from past and childhood, so she could be more present in her relationship with time. And that's why this approach is so powerful, because inner shifts become huge outer milestones. And as well as that, when we were looking at healing the guilt as well, Naomi stopped then finding things to feel guilty about. And I'll explain that as well when we move further on from this. But yeah, so essentially we up-leveled Naomi's relationship with time and created new beliefs and new perspectives around time. Just to give you another example of another case study, and this is Project Revolution with Trassa Sprague. Trassa came to me. Trassa is an amazing Zumba instructor, and she's also a sleep expert. And I know that she has actually given some amazing talks here as well with the iconic offices. So 2020 brought about very unexpected change and confusion for a lot of people across the board, as was the case with Trassa. And she found that this really directly impacted the energy she had for herself and her business, her enthusiasm. She was dreading any and all work tasks. It was affecting her focus and her discipline. She was finding herself easily distracted. Her thinking was muddled. So it really affected how she was showing up in her life and business. She found herself wanting to avoid creating things that involved putting herself out there. So again, visibility blocks started coming up. And then as well as that, Trassa just overall just felt disconnected from her purpose, her path, her business, and her audience. So 3 months later, Trassa is a completely new woman. She's confident, rejuvenated, inspired moving forward, because she now has the clarity around the bigger picture in her business. As a direct result of up-leveling, decluttering, and shifting herself in her inner world, Trassa launched a brand new offering that is pandemic-proof, welcoming in 30 new clients into her new program, welcoming in 30 new clients into her business in 1 month, which is amazing. She tripled her monthly revenue the month she launched. And in Trassa's own words, and I love that she shared this with me, she's like, I now have a clear understanding of what actually holds us back. It's not lack of discipline or action. A lot of people come to me and they're beating themselves up. It's like, I need to be better. I need to be more disciplined. And you don't even need to think of this in terms of business. You can think of this in terms of like new habits, like eating patterns. New things you want to do in your life, new fitness regimes, and how we often beat ourselves up when they fail. But it's not lack of discipline, and it's not lack of action. What it is a lack of belief and a lack of resistance. So when dealing with creating anything new, so even if it's a new habit, people tend to focus on the physical, and they get their minds all lined up and they have plans, but they don't have a vision, and they're not very connected spiritually and emotionally. And what happens is sabotage comes from the stuff going on in the emotional body. So if you look to create a new habit or a pattern, it's all about learning how to work with your emotional body, not against it. Learning how to work with your shadow, not against it. Otherwise, you start getting into this vicious cycle of trying something new, beating yourself up. And what you're actually doing is you're increasing disappointment, you're increasing levels of despondency. So anytime you do go to do something new, there's a heavy energy. There's a really heavy energy to it of saying, no, there's no point. I've tried before. It doesn't work. And it really, like, your dreams take a battering when this happens. How do we do that? Again, very similar to Naomi, cleared blocks of self-sabotage, imposter syndrome, visibility. We plugged personal energy leaks so that Trasa is using her time, energy, and resources more effectively for greater impact and higher profit in her business. This is huge as well. You know, you do not get to maximize your external resources like money until you tap into your inner resources, because the inner is always reflected in the outer. It was about having clear boundaries, guilt-free time for herself and her daughters. We cleared out what was causing the procrastination. Again, that's something people can tend to beat themselves up with, but I'm always an advocate for, like, get curious, get really curious. There's always a reason. There was unresolved, unhealed issues and identities and obligations causing resistance and holding Trasa back from taking action. We cleared those, and Trasa was able to really propel herself forward, really put herself out there, and become visible both for herself and her business. And she transformed any and all obstacles into opportunities for herself and her business. So back to you then, and I'm just going to quickly check the time because I want to make sure that I do leave time for Q&A at the end. Think back to what you wrote with regards to whatever is impossible for you. What is your version of impossible? Okay. How you would tap into the spiritual body is, if you want to connect this version of impossible, who do you need to be? That's the question you need to ask yourself. If I wanted to bring this to life in my life, who do I need to be? And I know at your core, I know how powerful you are. You are a powerful creator. But if we're not aware of it, we continue in cycles of creating what we don't want. We become a victim to circumstance. We become a victim to limitations rather than being open to what's possible. And I'm telling you now, whatever you wrote down, it's completely possible. And that's why you're here today. It's about really connecting with your purpose. And your purpose isn't just a career. A lot of people come to me and they're like, I want to be connected with my purpose. And they associate it with career. And what I'm saying to you is, your purpose is to be you. Your purpose is to be you in all areas of your life. So it's about really being true to yourself and showing up from that place. And when you do, that literally opens doors up that would previously not be opened. And I've seen it firsthand in my own life, and I've seen it with the clients that I work with. Being you and fully you and not hiding is a high energy attractor. And when you're being you, it comes from a place of like self-worth and loving you. And when you love you, you give other people permission to love you as well. So it's asking, in relation to what it is you're looking to create, who do you need to be? And it's about tapping into that intuition, using that inner GPS. It's about creating an inside out vision. I've had clients come to me, you know, who have done the visioning, and they're like, I've done it, it didn't work. And I showed them a way of doing visioning that's an inside out vision. And there's a way to do it that you feel really connected to it and it really resonates. So even reading your vision excites you. And that's where you want to get with all of this. There's been times that people have written visions and I read it and I'm like, it's devoid of feeling. It's devoid of connection. So it's all about visioning and being a co-creator, because I really believe when we're fully connected to who we are and when we're fully connected to our purpose, I believe when we're all connected to that, that is what changes our world. We all know there's a lot of changes that need to happen, you know, with regards to climate change, with regards to, and even things like Black Lives Matter. Like, a lot of changes need to happen. And I believe we can all play our part. And by you simply being who you are and coming from that place, I believe that you can be a part of that change too. So vision is more important than a plan. Don't get me wrong. Plans are great. A plan will get you from A to B. A plan originates in the physical body. Okay, you need to go to the gym. It's at this time. I'm going to go. I'm going to take the bus. These are the actions I'm going to take. Plan gets you from A to B. A vision, when you vision, you become a co-creator and you get very connected with the bigger powers that operate in our world. And it's powerful. So whilst you're kind of then going from A to B, it's opening doors at C, D, E, F, all the way to Z. And it also, you connect with support that you didn't even know you needed. That's how powerful a vision is. Planning is too, but I see a common mistake is that people plan instead of vision when they should be visioning, because a vision will help you move into the unknown. It will help you move beyond your comfort zone, but still feel comfortable. And it's about being crystal clear, being really clear about what you want. And I have people come to me who are like, I don't know what I want. And I'm like, wrong. You always know how you want to feel. And that is that's a laser power tool. When you know how you want to feel, that is everything, because then the rest of the details are filled in ways better than you could have imagined. Next, it's bringing your mind online then. So if you think of what you feel is now impossible for you, it's looking at, okay, what's my thinking, right? And your thinking here is going to divide into two. Your thinking is going to divide into, um, what limiting beliefs do I have? So again, my approach is always about being true. So if you write down, this is what I think is impossible, you have to be really honest with yourself. Here's all the reasons why I actually do not believe that this will happen. And you write them down. But again, they're just thoughts, they're just beliefs. Some of them aren't even yours, some of them are inherited from family, from society. Um, and this process is really powerful, because we can either come from a lack and scarcity mindset, which is, I'm not enough, there's not enough. We can come from limitation, or we can come from an abundant mindset set of there is enough and I am enough. It's being aware of our own shadow mindset. So huge with this is the judgments we have about ourselves, the judgments we have about others, they just reflect back our own insecurities. And what happens is, when we have judgments about others, we like have one finger pointing out, but we have three pointing back, which means we're actually projecting. We're projecting our power onto someone else. A lot of times people will come to me and they're like, I can't do this thing in my life because so and so did this. And, we tend to blame and we project our power onto other people, leaving us powerless. So part of this is really up leveling your mindset. It's exploring those limiting beliefs. It's exploring those judgments with compassion and with curiosity. Again, no beating oneself up. This is really powerful work when we can just allow ourselves to be in it and see. It's about, healing that shadow mindset, healing the identities that we have assigned to ourselves. So maybe something really crap happened to you when you were younger. Maybe there's been an event in your life that you're not happy, you're not proud of. And you then came to conclusions. You made it mean something. Okay. So say, for example, if you've had a breakup, you could have a breakup and then you're like, what am I making this mean about myself? Well, I'm making it mean that I'm unloved, I'm not worthy, I'm a loser, all these things. And what happens is they're so uncomfortable, we don't want to deal them. So we push them back into the shadow, but it's the shadow that then is running the show. The shadow is what runs the show. Like the subconscious is then, say, for example, when you plan for something to happen, your plans will get hijacked by your subconscious, because what happens is emotions take over. Emotions take over. They're located in the primitive area, in the primal area of the brain. So that comes from Daniel Goleman, Emotional Intelligence, where he's like, plans and your best laid plans will be hijacked by your emotions. So this is all about learning how to work with your shadow, with your emotions, so that you can actually create what you want and you're not hijacked. In fact, you're fully mastering your inner world. And it's about asking then, what am I open to? What am I open to believing? And getting into the truth of who you are. Okay. And just to give you an example, here's some universal limiting beliefs that I've come across from all clients. And I know, because I've had it with clients before, where they'll come to me with an issue and I'll pick up some beliefs and they're like, no, I don't feel that about myself. No, I love myself. No. But then when we dig in and go deeper, they're like, oh my God, I never knew any of this was there. So the universal ones, and I put my hand up here, like stuff still comes up for me, because again, we new level, new devil, we reach a certain level of success. And when we go to the new level, some of the old stuff comes up again, not to hold us back, but actually to propel us forward. So these universal limiting beliefs, I'm not enough, I'm doing it wrong, this has to be hard, I'm a burden, it's not safe for me to be seen. Even that one, I'm a burden, means that you're going to find it very hard to receive help. You're going to find it very hard to ask for help. There's something wrong with me. I'm a fraud. I'm broken. I put broken down twice. Well, maybe someone really needed to hear that today, so that's okay. Or I have a lot of work to do. Even with that, when people start working with me, they're like, I have a lot of work to do. And I'm like, so before you're even started, you're telling yourself you've got so much work to do on yourself before you're perfect. And I'm like, no, you're perfect now. You're already enough now, and you're expanding. So you're starting from a place of I'm enough. And from here on in, I'm just going to expand and just get better and better and better. Perception is huge as well when it comes to mindset. So, a lot of people hit off obstacles, wounds, blocks, resistance, and pain. And they're like, that's that then. They kind of give up there because they think, oh, I'm not supposed to have what I want. And with the right mindset, you're able to see opportunities in every obstacle, the wisdom in the wounds. You're able to take blessings from blocks. Blocks are powerful stepping stones forward. When resistance comes up, you're able to use it for your good. Resistance is a strengthener. And when you learn how to work with it, you can release it, you can dissolve it, you can strengthen from it versus recycling it. And what I mean by that is when you go to do something new, some of the old gunk comes up. And if you're not aware, you'll recycle it. You'll recycle those issues. You believe that they're true, that you kind of spiral into them instead of actually saying, great, this has come up. Now I can see it clearly. I can let it go. Okay. And to let something go, because I know it's a question I get a lot, like to let something go, you need to let it in. You need to let it in first. We feel to heal. And then from our pain, we find our power and our purpose. The emotional body, emotion, energy in motion. So this is the energy body. All feelings are guides, even the uncomfortable ones. But if you disconnect from the guilt, the shame, the fear, the anxiety, you're disconnecting from all of you. Okay, so if there's things there you don't want to feel, they're uncomfortable, you can disconnect from them, but you're disconnecting from the whole emotional body. So then you're going to disconnect from your happiness, from your joy, and from all those really, really higher emotions. So I'm all about be true, not positive. It's all about being true to yourself. You can focus on trying to be positive. And I say trying here because people are like, I'm trying to do this. And I'm like, stop trying, because you're just increasing resistance, increasing struggle. You're making it harder for yourself. If you can just sit and accept where you're at, this is great. Be true. Okay. And allow those emotions to guide you, because what can happen is if you're trying to be positive the whole time, you're actually just increasing the shadow, and the shadow is the subconscious. It's going to work against you. So the shadow, as I've said before, they're all those stories, they're all, the pain, the trauma, the experiences, the things that you would rather people didn't know about you, the stuff that you want to hide, you push it back into the shadow. And then what happens is, in order for us to keep it there in the shadow, we start looking to continue numbing and dumbing ourselves. So the shadow actually fuels addictions. It fuels self-sabotage, because it's when we, even with addictions, like we actually have emotional addictions. We can have an addiction to anxiety. So I remember Tony Robbins saying, an angry person will always find something to be angry about. A guilty person will always find something to be guilty. Fearful person will always find something to be fearful about. So what happens is we have all these emotions in us that maybe are unhealed. And what we're doing is we're now attracting things in our external world to actually play them out. So the inner is the cause of the outer. A lot of people say, okay, I don't have enough money, so I'm unhappy, I'm down, I'm depressed, I don't have enough money. Whereas in fact, if you flip it on your head, you're actually bringing, these lower emotions to your money. Money's neutral. You bring it to you. You bring this energy to your money, so you get to play it out in your money. So the whole thing here is like, deal with the inner, deal with the cause first, and then you'll be able to change the physical. So it's about getting clear of those core shadow feelings, those core desired feelings, and healing the shadow stuff, rewiring it, not pushing it away, because it actually contains energy. But what you're looking to do is withdraw the energy and transform it. So you actually get to rewire it and change how it moves through your body. So when it comes to the emotional body, it's like, what am I ready to let go of? Even when again, as I've said before, when we go to do something new, the old comes up. So what might come up for you? What are the parts of yourselves that are looking to heal? And then it's looking at when stuff comes up, when I hit a block, when I hit a wall, when things aren't going right. It's asking the question, how is this actually helping me create what I want? I've created my vision. I know what I want. How is this actually helping me, and how can I use it? Because everything is actually helping you create what you want. All those blocks are helping you create what you want, because when you deal with them properly, they become stepping stones. I always say that our darkness is a doorway to our greatest light. And it's about learning how to work with our darkness so that we can actually stand tall in our light. If you think of a tree, I always think of nature in these kind of things. A tree has to root down first and foremost into the darkness, into the soil to get the nutrients. So it's in the darkness, and when it digs deep into the darkness, it gets to receive from the darkness, and then it can start growing upward towards the light. The deeper the tree goes, the higher that it can go as well. And it's the same with us. If you want to tap into your potential, it's about learning how to tap into what's going to be blocking it and use it for your good. Just to give you a little quote, this is from Brené Brown. Absolutely love her book. Leaders must either invest a reasonable amount of time attending to fears and feelings, or squander an unreasonable amount of time trying to manage ineffective and unproductive behavior. I just kind of thought that sums it up, just to give you an idea of some of the subconscious blocks that can come up for people. And again, this is the identity that we've taken from stuff that's happened in our lives. Because I'm telling you, your true identity is that you're powerful. Okay. You're a powerful co-creator. But we disconnect from that. And we tell ourselves other stories based on stuff that's happened in our lives. So these become emotional blocks. So when I've done the healing part of this work with clients, it's all about releasing the past. So breakups, divorces, sexual identity, mother wounds, which can become our feminine wounds within in our feminine energy, father wounds, abandonment issues, sexual abuse, rape, overstepped boundaries, death, loss, small incidences and conclusions between the ages of 0 to 7. Because I'm going to read these out, but there's some of you who are like, I've never had anything big and traumatic. And I've had clients who've said the same. But when we're 0 to 7, we are so sensitive. So something small, like a teacher saying the wrong thing, or you put your hand up in class and everybody laughed, something like that. If it can be hugely traumatic for ourselves at that age. And what happened is then, like, we file it away. So then anytime you maybe go to volunteer information or step forward, you're not your adult self anymore. You're that 6-year-old who's like, no, if I do this, everybody will laugh at me. Difficulty learning. So learning difficulties can come up. Vows that you've made to yourself, like maybe something happened in your family life and you just vow, I'm never going to do that to myself. I'm never going to be like that. I'm never going to be like that person. But it ends up going into the shadow side, because whatever you push against, you create. It comes from family, tribal, cultural beliefs, family environment growing up. Like if your family environment was one of high emotion, if it was one where, a parent was going through something difficult, maybe there's fear, maybe there's anxiety, that becomes your natural emotional state. That's what you're operating from. And that becomes your norm. You don't know any other way of being. That becomes your norm. So this is just some of the stuff that will actually come up. Unattended sorrow. So this maybe stuff has happened in the past and it seemed small. Like say a breakup when we're 17 or 20 can seem small, but unless we fully heal from it, it actually stays in the shadow and it gathers like a snowball and it becomes our unattended sorrow. So what happens is, we can have big loss, and if we don't heal from it, something super small can happen to us. Except what we're doing is we're now bringing all the old wounds to this something small, and it just feels way bigger. Why? Because we've just snowballed out everything, we haven't dealt with it. So it's about healing the unattended sorrow, healing trauma, because again, The issues do get locked in the body. The issues stay in the tissues, and shame around past events and actions. So that's just a little bit of a brief overview. It's very different for everybody. Very different for everybody. And when we do this part of the work, again, clients will be like, nope, there's nothing there. I'm all good. But when we just do dig a little bit deeper, it's there. So it really is powerful. When we tap into the power of the physical body, it's looking at, okay, what actions do I need to take that will now support me forward? And as well as that, sometimes it's looking at what are the non-actions? Because we can't always be in action. We need the non-doing as much as we need the doing. We need the balance of the yin and the yang. Are my actions fear-based or love-based? Because again, it's the intention behind the action that will dictate the results. It is the energy behind the action that will dictate the results. So if your action is fear-based, doesn't matter what action you take, you're going to be fueling fear. You're going to be recycling fear. And if we look at the emotional body, there's only two base emotions. There's love and fear. And you're either in one or the other. So here it's looking at, am I in love? Am I in fear? And literally fear contracts us. So we close up. So even energetically, we don't get to receive what it is we're looking to receive. Whereas love is a very expansive energy. It opens us up. If you look at your physical environment, what changes can I make to my physical and social environments to nurture myself? The inner is matched in the outer. And so if there's clutter, stuff like that is hugely important. And then it's about leaving time to work with our bodies to release the issues from the tissues as well. Now, just a brief, quick conclusion. I'm going to do this in a minute. The whole idea around this approach is to be conscious over corporate. If you think of corporate comes from the Latin word corp, which means body. So I feel we're moving into a new way of being in business where it's not just the body. We're talking about tapping in spiritually, mentally, and emotionally as well. Conscious dreamers, leaders, and entrepreneurs understand that business growth is personal growth and healing. Honoring your soul in your business will actually propel you and your business forward. When we tap into that spiritual side, when we allow ourselves to bring our soul to work, we're tapping into the part of us that is completely unlimited compared to the body, which is limited as well. Business does not have to mean burnout and sacrifice. You can have a business and have a life and enjoy time with your family and experience freedom no matter what is happening. Success is very much an inner journey of transformation and growth. It's about you growing into the version of you who is a match for the success you desire. So if there's a gap between where you are now and where you want to go, doesn't matter what area in your life, it's about doing the inner work to bridge the gap. That's what will bridge the gap for you. Whatever gets in the way is the way. Invite in more love, joy, freedom, abundance, and everything that is not a match comes up to be healed. Blocks can hold you back or propel you forward. Now, that is it. These are my details here if you do want to connect with me further. I do have an email list. My website is currently just being updated, but you can go and put your email in there if you want to stay in contact.